In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly
and Andrew Fiore.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victoria! So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on and on. Bring it to me. Defend your
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the DYM podcast. I am one of your burly hosts, Andrew Fiore, the cool breeze. And with me, as always, just as burly, just as pleasant, just as hilarious, it's Dutch himself. It's Sean Donnelly, everybody.
Hello there, everybody.
The crowd goes wild.
The Dymwit Nation is going nuts right now.
Dymwit Nation.
That's what we have to get out there. Dymwit Nation. Dymwit Nation should take over. That should be a whole thing. Because we're dimwits. We're fans of the show, and we're kind of dopey guys.
Dimwits is right.
It's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Good to see you. I am good. And speaking of the Dimwits, big shout out to Dymwit reaching for the number one spot, Dan Sweeney, owner of the 11th Street Bar in the East Village. If you can go, give them some patronage. They got some nice outdoor seating. I stopped by there this past Saturday afternoon, and Danny and I were just having a drink, and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm loving the podcast. I listen to it every week. I take my dog for a walk, and I laugh my ass off." So
that's amazing.
The Dimwit number one, Dan Sweeney.
Oh, my God, we're taking over.
Taking over, baby.
When in doubt, just rebrand. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And God bless it, too. We once this whole thing's over, hopefully sooner than later, that's our kind of bar. 11th Street Bar for two guys.
Oh, big time.
We do a live show. They do music there. We do stuff from the back. That might be something in the works.
Absolutely, and it's great. Really good guy, and I went to high school together, actually.
Yeah,
which is so
true.
funny because
Garden City guys.
Yeah, he's a Garden City guy, and you went to college with him, and I went to high school with him.
Met him in college. Didn't go to the same schools.
Oh, didn't go to the same schools. Okay, but you, what was it? He's 2 years older than you, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because he's a year older than me, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he's a Garden City guy, and, yes, that's absolutely a bar that you'd find two people who almost look exactly alike at the bar. We did a show. Did we mention that on the road trip episode, how we had a built-in opening bit when we went up on stage?
Oh, yeah, because, so night one of our road trip, we were switching. Technically, we were both headlining. But somebody's still got to go last in the true headliner spot. So we choosed for it. Once, twice, three shooted. And Sean won the first night, which was the coveted I don't want to go last night.
Hey, it was fair and square. It was fair and square. That
one really worked out for you because I had to close that miserable show, even though it was fun. But then the next night, you got to close the great crowd and everything. And even though it was also I had a fine time technically doing the middle spot, you really reaped the benefits of that. That shoes.
Yeah, but it's funny because I was even saying to you, like, you realize the more we're in comedy, the more you do stand-up, the greener you are, the more you want to, like, flex that headliner muscle. But if you have a show where it's double headliner and you've both been doing it for a while, you're both just like, yeah, I'll go first. I'll totally go first.
I'm done quicker.
Yeah. So, but the other part, what's really funny is that, so the joke was that we're interchangeable. Like Andy's just a taller version of me with more hair. That's basically what's happening. But I'm guessing we both, I never asked you this, but we both have, sorry about that. Are we still recording?
Yes. Just said you picked up, we both have.
We both have. And it's funny because you were in the video and Zoom, you were looking down. And I was like, and then I would ask the question. You were still looking down, so I was like, you just look sad about the question. I'm guessing we both have had people on the street call us big guy. I'm pretty sure that's.
Are you kidding me? That's all I get in Times Square when the guys would come up to you, yo, big man, yo, big guy.
Yeah.
That's all I get.
I get big guy all the time. And
what up, big man?
What up, big man? You got $1? What up, big man?
That's my go-to street name.
Big Man. That'd be a good one, actually. That sounds like you're from The Wire, Big Man, because they had little Kevin on The Wire.
So speaking of, this is a fun topic. Speaking of Dan Sweeney, he was the man who gave me, I guess, one of my nicknames, probably the one that my friends in the bar culture know the most. Many years ago, when we would bartend together, we would go out drinking afterwards, and we would, just get shithoused. And I never and still to this day, don't care to sit at a bar too much. I will, but I prefer just to stand. I like standing. I like watching the TV. I like having conversation. And when I would get really shit-faced, I guess, I'd start to kind of jiggle and start to motion back and forth.
Yeah.
One night, Danny just goes...
No, it's called losing your equilibrium, Andy.
Yes,
that's what
that's the correct term.
It's called delirium. Delirium. That's different. That's just like
alcohol-induced. Yeah.
Alcohol-induced fucking and
loss
booty
of balance.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, would you sit down? And I go, I don't want to sit down. He goes, well, you look like a human bowl of Jell-O right now. And for whatever reason, the guys we bartended with, our friends in our drinking circle, Jell-O just kind of stuck. So I was Andy Jell-O, and still to this day, I'm Andy Jell-O.
I don't think I've ever heard that you're called Andy Jell-O.
Here's the thing. It's because it's only within a certain group of people. So I'll sometimes have those paths cross, and somebody will be like, hey, Jell-O, what are you doing? And then like your girl will be like, did that guy just call you Jell-O? I'll be like on a date. I'd be like, why'd that fucking older Puerto Rican man call you Jell-O? And I'm like, it's a long story. But that's the other thing, too. It's not the most flattering nickname for a chubby guy because people automatically get like, he just loves to eat, which
I
is
think it's
true.
a fat thing. Yeah.
I go, no, it's because I'm addicted to alcohol as well.
No, it's because of my other problem in my life.
Right. But that's funny. Did you have any nicknames growing up, or is there any I don't know about? Obviously, other than Dutch and Cool
I
Breeze.
think obviously Dutch is my coveted newest nickname, but no, I would get called Donnelly. Donnelly was it, and then I think for a very short period of time, my friends I used to skateboard with, like we and the thing about it is we would have tons of nicknames. Like we would have there was tons of. It was always like it was really mean nicknames. Sure. We had our one friend. The biggest nickname for me growing up was the one that was short lived for me was Wonder Bread. They just like my friend was like you act and look like a package of Wonder Bread, right? It never stuck. Like it never stuck at all. Like and also I'm white and very white and but it never stuck. Like they tried to call me Wonder Bread for very short. I just remember thinking, oh, this might stick or whatever it is. But then mostly I've been called Donnelly or Sean John. They would call me Sean John because of Sean John clothing or whatever it is. But we had some great ones from me growing up, like brutal ones. Like one that wasn't as bad, but he was called a bunch. Is my friend Opie. We just called my friend Opie because he was red hair and freckles. He actually looked more like Problem Child. Like if you look at Problem Child and you look at a picture of my friend Opie from back in the day, they look simultaneous. They look the same.
Yeah.
Simultaneous. They look identical. Simultaneous. Jesus.
That's funny.
Anyway, so we had Opie. We also had one of the best stories I ever heard that I might have told in the podcast once. Is there was this kid that used to skate. I barely knew him. I think I might have met him a couple times. That one time he was on the back of somebody's car, and they pulled away.
Skitching?
What?
Skitching?
No. He was just like, it was parked. The car was parked.
Oh.
And he was on the back of the back hood in the trunk, and somebody was like either drunk or not paying attention, and they drove off, and he rolled off the back of the hood. And everybody freaked because they were like, oh my God, this guy just fell. And the person driving freaked out and put the car in reverse and backed over him.
Oh, my God.
And then everybody freaked out even more and lost their minds, and the person driving put it back and forward and drove over him.
Good Jesus Christ.
And that dude's nickname was Speed Bump for like a lot of his which is like perfect. And it's like that sounds like a made-up story, but it's absolutely true. Speed Bump.
Survived, obviously.
He survived, yeah. He was okay. And then on top of that,
what was the driver's nickname?
20 to life. I don't know. Felon? I have no
Up in
idea.
Far Eastern, if you catch my drift.
I just got you. Racist Andy should be a
Yes.
character on the show. Yeah. Just
New
racist-
brand, new character.
New brand, new character. Hey, everybody! It's Racist Andy. The other nickname was we. All right, there's a couple more. One was this kid. This kid's nickname was his name that I didn't know his real name for the first 4 years of knowing him.
Such a common occurrence.
Yes, and his name was Booger, like across Long Island, like people, like if you ask
that one
people,
out?
What?
You couldn't figure that one out.
What do you mean?
You thought his real name was Booger?
No, meaning that everybody just called him Booger.
Oh, just nobody had no idea what his real name was.
Nobody had no idea what his real name was.
Hilarious.
Not that I was like, I thought it was his real name. No, like he was called that in like 7th grade, and it stuck until he was like 30, like until he was like 25. It was like, actually, I feel really bad that it was the thing. But I would say for the first part of knowing him in my life, I didn't know his name is Mike. I didn't know his name was Mike. I had no idea. And if you asked people, like skaters, if you met skaters from other towns, even from like other states sometimes, and you were like, "Oh, do you know Booger?" They're like, "Oh yeah, of course we know Booger." Like everybody knew him. Everybody knew this dude Booger.
Yeah.
Transcended the entire island, this nickname. And then he doesn't want to be called it, obviously, because he's a 42-year-old man. So he doesn't want to be called Booger. But it was a big part of my life. And then the other big one, which we called my friend, one of my friends, he had a giant brace face. He had a lot of braces, big braces. Like it filled up his whole mouth. And he had a big mouth, big lips, big mouth. And Mortal Kombat 2 was a big thing back when I was a kid, like 16, when nicknames would have been hot. And one friend started calling him Barakalypse, and called him Barakalypse, which is a character in Mortal Kombat 2. If you look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. And that was a behind the back nickname that he didn't know about.
Right.
We didn't call it to his face. So it was more of us shitting on him than an actual nickname.
Yeah, it's funny how while we're talking about this, I think about all my different circles and how the nicknames are strictly within these groups, like, and because nicknames are very insidery, So like,
yeah,
my friend, this is one of the funniest ones, and of course it's not going to come across because you need a visual of this girl. But my one friend dated this girl who really let herself go after like 3 years she got comfortable in the relationship, but she sucked. And I can say this with, full disclosure, because they're no longer together and they had a bad breakup. So she's the enemy anyway. And once she really let herself go, she was a friend of ours from college. So some of your college friends, when they come to New York, you don't see each other for months, sometimes maybe even years at a time. And my one friend is visiting, and he was like, "Hey, whatever happened to so-and-so's girlfriend?" And I go, "Oh, you didn't hear? They had a horrible breakup. This happened, that happened." He goes, "Oh, thank God, dude. She was starting to look like Slimer." Which is it's so mean and so accurate, which is the makings of a good nickname.
Now, let me ask you this. So that's not just a, like she gained weight, I'm going to be shitty kind of thing. She looked like Slimer.
She kind of it was more of shoving a lot of food in her face, but yet it was also like her body shape kind of started out great, and then it just kind of expanded into that Slimer style form.
Andy, are you saying you think Slimer's body shape started out great? You're like,
well,
Slimer had a great
It's a
top
pear
hat.
shape. It's a pear shape, I should say, where it's a little more normal on top, and then it really lets itself go.
But the way that you're saying you can do this is because she was a piece of shit as well.
Piece of shit, and and like cheated on my buddy, and she sucked. And now, I don't think my buddy even knows the nickname that we gave her, but we still call her that behind his back.
So if he was there and then you said it, is he the type to freak out?
I don't know if he would know who we were talking about because we've never mentioned it to him to his face. But she wouldn't really come up in conversation anyway.
Right, it's kind of a done
touchy.
deal. Yeah,
because he's like married with it's.
Oh yeah, that's ancient history.
But did you ever nickname like people you would see like around your hometown? Like we have two famous people. We have one. You can even like Google this one lady, the Mud Lady of Morristown. It's like this. She was a very young, beautiful woman, and I think she's either schizophrenic or bipolar. But she came from this very well-to-do family, and she kept refusing to get help. Like she just didn't want any sort of, stay in any hospital or whatever. But because of her, sickness, she would take like shoe polish and cover herself in
blackface.
Essentially. It's essentially what it was, but her whole body. And she obviously, she got nicknamed the Mud Lady because you'd just see her wandering around Morristown, New Jersey. Her name's Marianne Boulard. Steve Brown wrote a paper on her sophomore year of high school. That's the reason I know her full name. But she was a regular. High Sky Man was a regular one. It was just this guy who never ran but walked around. He was just high on meth, I think, the whole time and just walked at a very fast pace, but it was like a super friendly guy, and he was just high as the sky.
We had a guy named Pockets because, but I think he was mentally. I think we knew back then he was mentally handicapped, but it wasn't. It was a harmless nickname. We just called him Pockets because he would walk around with his pockets inside out. So he was called Pockets because of that. And then there was Pink House Lady. This lady, the pink lady, and she lived in a pink house. She wore pink all the time. And back in the day, there was a urban legend about her. I don't think I mentioned this on the podcast. Urban legend about how she went into the local pizza place, and this guy who it was through this guy was a skateboarder as well. This kid was there, and he saw her, and she was just sitting there. She wasn't eating any pizza or anything. And she just pulled out a napkin, and she wrote something on the napkin and then walked out of the pizza place. And the story goes that he walked over and read the napkin, and it said, "There's $1 million in my basement, but it's possessed by the devil." So this kid and his friends broke into her basement to check it out. To see
Come on.
I swear to God, and there was nothing there.
No, of course not.
Now, that's also the story I heard, so maybe none of it happened, but the kid that it was, everybody from Long Island that was like, if you told that story and you said it was this guy, they'd be like, oh, yeah, he did that. Yeah, absolutely, this guy. He was one of those guys. He was he was a bad kid. He was the kid that was like, yeah, this guy, he definitely did that. Yeah, absolutely, he did that.
We had one guy make 2020, the show, back in like the early 90s.
With Hugh Downs and Baba Wawa?
With Hugh Downs and Baba Wawa. There was, I think his name was Richard Kramer or something along those lines. He was a homeless man. He sued the
Kramer? Yeah. This fruit's for – I know this fruit's for Kramer. That's Kramer's fruit.
This guy sued the Morristown local library because they kept kicking him out because he stunk and was homeless, and he was like annoying people, and he sued the library, and I think successfully. But the story made 2020, and then
that's funny.
The other beloved figure in Morristown was at the AMC movie theater. There's this guy Eric Fluffy Glover, big giant black man, like big fat guy, but also really tall, like 6'5". I mean, huge man, but like the sweetest guy on earth. And forever, for years, like since I was maybe like 12 up until like my 20s, he was the ticket taker guy at the movies. And he would have this thing where he would always do the same gag. You'd come up, you go, "Hey, Eric, hey, Fluffy, how you doing?" He'd go, "All right, how you doing?" And you'd hand him a ticket. He'd go, "Tickets, please." And he'd make a little machine noise like he was scanning your ticket. He'd go, and he'd go, change. And he did it every time. He'd keep the change you every single time. And he became like a legend. And then he kind of hit the skids financially, and there was like a whole GoFundMe for him. And I don't think he's doing too great. I think I saw him when I was in town. I think he's like living out of his car now or something. Really a heartbreaking story, but like he was so sweet.
Well, I'll tell you, library, like you said with the other one, libraries are chock full of characters. Because I used to work at my town's library, and there was a guy, and he was this tall, skinny guy. And at the time I worked there, I was obsessed with the JFK assassination. So
Yeah.
he would come in with a duffel bag and just stay all day, and he smelled really bad. Like he was just, but he wouldn't get kicked. Then he wouldn't get kicked out, but he would like act up. So they would let him back in, but he would douche all the time. Like one time he was having a cigarette outside, and he just gave the cops the finger as they drove by. So they went after him. Like they chased after him. And then he gives him the finger and he runs back in the library, and then he barricades himself in the bathroom and he wouldn't come out, and the cops are there trying to get him out of the bathroom. But then 2 weeks later he's back at the library. Like they didn't get him from the library. But I was a kid, and I have imagination, and I was so obsessed with the JFK assassination that I made myself believe that he was involved. So I'm like, he's involved, and he's had to be on the run for all these years. At that
He's
point,
a second shooter.
He's a second shooter, and he knows something, and I know it. I almost know it. I'm pretty sure that he was definitely involved with the JFK assassination.
That's so funny.
Yeah, man. But there was always I didn't call him anything because he was just like this guy. Actually, we might have had a name for him, but I forget. People at the library might have had that worked there might have been had a name for him or something. Maybe Lee Harvey or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. Also dads were such a great distributor of nicknames, and growing up playing sports too, you get nicknames in sports. But like you said, in comedy, I'm Fiore. Just people refer to me as Fiore.
Yeah,
a lot.
Donald.
And Hack. That seems to be
it's weird. Me too. How do we get the same nickname?
But hockey has a fun one because for whatever reason, when you get a hockey nickname, it's just the beginning of your last name and then an SY ending, So it'd be my name's tougher to do it but it'd be like Fiors, you'd be like Donzi. And just anything in an SY is for some reason strictly in hockey. But sports was always a great one for that. Obviously, in college, we had a different run of circle. Like my friend who you met, who we hung out with last weekend, Brian Daniels, he doesn't have the greatest memory. So he became Shark Brain, and then that became Sharky. So we call him Sharky.
Yes, the abbreviation. Yeah,
he's a real wiry kid too. We call him Squiggly. He's always squirming and getting out of jams. We call him Squiggly. And then also he was known in college to do a lot of substances and have a good time. And he was also maybe a little freewheeling with the ladies.
So you also called him an ambulance sometimes.
We called him, no, but at one point it became a Petri dish, and then it became Petri, and that became Pete. So it's just the historical origins of nicknames are something I love because they're just so funny. If you go, where's Pete come? You go, well, it comes from Petri, which comes from Petri. You got to reverse mystery solve it.
It's the evolution of the nickname. But I never, the only thing I had was Sean John or Sean. And then I went to Sean Don, and then it was Don. And then Don. My grandfather was called Don because of Donnelly.
Oh,
it's funny. At the bar that he hung out, and he was called Don. Don Donnelly. And then I think I was called Don Donnelly at one point. It goes.
Right, Don.
The ones that last over 10 years are the ones that you remember. The ones that people have that name and it replaces their name.
Yeah,
that's the big ones. That's the absolute big.
Absolutely.
Ones.
It reminded me of one from college. My roommate, whose name is Michael Gluhanic, Gluh is spelling, and. Sophomore year, we'd already known each other for about 2 years now, and he was my roommate sophomore year. And we're having a few people in our room, and we were having the similar conversation. We're talking about nicknames from high school and stuff like that. And we call him Glue because his last name's Gluhanic, obviously. And he goes, "Yeah, well, so Glue comes from, my last name is Gluhanic. That's where people get that from." We go, "Yeah. We figured that one out, Mike." He felt like he had to put it together for us. We're like, he got Glue from Gluhanic. Pretty easily we arrived at that. And boy, did we break his balls after that one. And he's a doctor now. He's one of the smartest guys. But sometimes guys
that they have no common sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so speaking of which, this kind of leads into a little bit of what I watched this week. Mafia nicknames are some of the greatest nicknames.
Oh, I know what you watched. You watched the New York versus the Mafia thing.
I did. I watched Fear City.
Fear City. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing. Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched. There's only 3 episodes. I was so disappointed.
I'm like, I have one left. And
It was great, but I just wanted more,
Every time they do one of those mafia shows, I'm always so intrigued by Paul Castellano. Not only because I think he was related to my English teacher, and I've mentioned that before in the podcast.
You hear that thunder?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
that was Big Paulie from the gates.
Yes, Paulie Castellano. But also because I think it'd be good to do a movie about him because he wasn't your run of the mill mafia guy. Like he was like having an affair with his maid.
Yeah.
Not that that's the reason why, but he also was not.
He was the boss of bosses, but he was also like more of a businessman.
He was more of a businessman. He didn't go on the streets, and I think he was less. He was like respected in some circles for that, but not in others. Like it was like that kind of thing. I mean,
yeah, and you also that has such a great ending too because his death came at the hands of the Teflon Don himself, John Gotti, like outside Sparks Steakhouse.
And it's ironic because it could not have been more opposite than Castellano.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
John Gotti was known as being like a bull, like not bull. They had Sammy the Bull, but I mean, like he was known as being as a bull as well. Like just completely gruff, completely not that bright, just street level guy that just worked his way up.
Yeah. There was one of the other heads. I think it might have been this guy. It was like Tony Galante. I'm getting their names wrong, but either way, his nickname was Ducks. And it was like, why is his nickname Ducks? It's because he kept ducking any sort of indictments. He would just duck everything. Like he got out of everything having to do with the police or getting arrested. So they were just calling him, Tony Ducks.
I gotta watch the rest of that show. I watched something as well. I watched Biloxi Blues.
Oh my God! What? How the hell did you? Biloxi
It's on
Blues.
Peacock. It's on. Peacock has some free content and it's good.
Yeah, he's young Mac Broderick.
Young Matty Broderick. I like how you call him Matt. Matt Broderick. Matty the B.
Matty B. It's the nickname show. I don't remember. I really saw Biloxi Blues when I was a kid and I don't think ever saw it as an adult. I just kind of remember the whorehouse scene and him like, an old kind of very experienced veteran whore.
And, it was Rowena, who was also played by I forget her name, but she played the nurse in Empty Nest. That's why I remember her. It was a sitcom back in the day, a spinoff of the Golden Girls called Empty Nest with Richard Mulligan, who's also in Meatballs 3 or whatever that is, or 2. And the one who played his nurse was Lori something. And whenever I see, at the time I knew her from that show. So when I would watch Biloxi Blues, I would always think of her from that show. I think that Empty Nest was after Biloxi Blues, but only a couple of years.
Right.
But I'm on the same page as you where I watched it as a kid, but I saw it. It was on, when we had movie channels, it was on HBO a lot.
Yeah.
So I've seen it a bunch, but I haven't seen it probably in, I don't know, probably 20 years. I haven't probably seen it in 20 years. And it makes you realize, like, first off, I want to tell you this. I didn't realize this. Guess who it is? It's a Mike Nichols movie, my friend.
Come on.
It's Mike Nichols. That's who directed it.
Wow.
Mike Nichols. Yeah.
Randall Edwards is her name, who you're thinking of.
What's her name?
Randall Edwards.
Oh, I wasn't even close. I think her name was Laverne. Her name was Laverne on Empty Nest. That's what it was.
Yeah. Sexy
anyway,
older broad, though.
She is, yeah. Still, you mean her from back then?
Back then, I guess.
Well, she was probably about 10 years younger than you back then, but that's right.
Well, she's only 65 now, so.
Yeah, no, she was pretty young back then. But she had that, like, I have experience kind of feel. It was like perfect casting. Casting. But yeah, it was Mike Nichols that did the movie, and then it was a Neil Simon play. And it's so funny watching.
I didn't know that either.
Yes, Neil Simon play, and it's the writing is so good in it. It makes you want to be like a playwright when you watch it. But also, it's one of those things that I don't think it did very well. I don't know. I don't remember how it did, like box office wise. But when you're watching it, you can see why it's a play. It comes off like a play.
Yeah.
So much. Like they didn't. I don't think they messed with it barely at all. Like I don't think they tried to throw in movie making magic at all. Like but it works. It still works because it's so good. And it was like an hour and 50-minute movie, but it flies by because of how good the writing is. And it's funny. There's things I didn't pick up on as a kid that I picked up on now. Like there's a scene where one of the one of the privates tells the guy that he's black because he's a white dude. His name's Hennessy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But back in the day, but then what happens is the guy pushes him on and he goes, I knew there was something wrong with you because it's the 40s and that's the 40s. And he goes, I knew there was something wrong with you. And he goes, well, I can see how you think because I meant black Irish. But what I remember as a kid, I thought he still meant black and Irish, like he's both. And I remember thinking that he really was part black in the movie, but in actuality, he was black. I didn't know what black Irish was when I used to watch it as a kid.
Right.
So it's a small thing, and it doesn't matter, but it's funny that is a little bit of a phenomenon. Like scenes in movies or things you saw as a kid that when you get older, you go back and you go, oh, they were saying that. It was like an adult thing.
Yeah. You know what? That happened to me a lot. And, oh, by the way, if I remember Biloxi Blues, right? Alan Ruck, Matt Broderick reunion.
Nope, he's not in it.
He's not?
Alan Ruck? No, who does he play in Biloxi Blues?
Doesn't he play Don Carney?
No, that's Casey Sisk, whatever is Sieszmiko or something. I can never pronounce that last name. Sismago. I don't even know how to say it. But him and his
like
his
I said,
sister,
it's been a while.
That is Don Carney is the guy who's in 3 O'Clock High. Remember 3 O'Clock High?
Oh yeah, totally.
He's the main guy in
childhood that I loved.
I kind of want to watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, for real.
He's in 3 O'Clock High, and he plays Don Carney in Biloxi Blues. But it's a fantastic movie.
What I was going to say was what makes The Simpsons so great was that when I watched it, I loved it as a kid, obviously, and it came out in 1989. I was 11 years old, and then you watch everything, and then when you become an adult and you know things, you go back and you watch these still hilariously amazingly written episodes, but then now you get these weirdo references they're making that were way over your head as a kid.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And you go, this show is just so working on so many levels. There's a joke every 10 seconds. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah. So, but I was watching also. Criminal Intent is also for free on Peacock.
Oh, buddy.
So I was watching I was rewatching.
We can do better than that.
It's a great show. It's
the worst one.
It's not. It's really awesome.
No.
Hey man, if you want to talk about movies, each one's like its own movie. It's like it's not like you're like As For You is great. The first Law and Order back in the day was great, and then
that's the best. That's hands down.
You think that was the best one? Best Law and Order was
I know it's the best one. I'm saying that with concrete proof. You got Sam Waterston. You got Jerry Orbach.
That's even late. They had some earlier.
Yeah,
ones.
they had Adam
Paul
when they
Sorvino
had the
and Chris
sure. Yeah,
Sorvino.
But it really found its footing, and I guess even the first 4 seasons are great too. But I'm a McCoy man. I'm a McCoy and Briscoe kind of guy.
You're a McCoy stan.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is there's going to be a new one.
Really?
Chris Maloney, who
he's back. He was already in it.
What do you mean he's already in it?
He was in Law and Order.
I know he was in SVU.
No. He was in regular. I guarantee it. He was on the tail end. He was with it was Chris Maloney and Dennis Farina.
That was Jeremy Sisto. Come on, man,
buddy. I'm telling you. I'll bet you $100 right here.
Hold on, for an episode or for he was the partner?
An arc. Sisto came after them.
Oh, that's okay. That's different. He didn't. He wasn't.
Sisto and who's it? Anthony.
Yeah, but he was coming over from SVU.
I'm gonna have to look this.
I'll make you a $20 bet right now.
No, Chris Maloney. I thought you said Chris Imperioli. Not Chris Maloney. I got the names wrong.
You mean Michael Imperioli?
Michael Imperioli. I thought you said Chris Maloney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Obviously, Chris Maloney, staple of
SVU, and then he left, but he didn't die in the show, and now he's coming back with his own show. I think it's going to be called Stabler.
It's going to be called Stabler?
I don't know. I think they should call it – I think they should do it like Logan and call it Stabler.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing, right?
Hooker.
And make it like real gritty. Make it like Bad Lieutenant, where he's like not a great cop.
I could see that working.
But they won't do it because they have a formula. They have it like if you go down to that whole area, if you go by they took over like the piers, like where as far as I think they shoot down there and their auditions are down there and stuff. But it's like clockwork. They have their own system. I think they have it's like a machine.
God, how much Dick Wolf must be worth?
Let's make a guess, and then we'll see. What do you guess?
$500 million. Half a
500
B
million?
with
Yeah.
a billion.
Yeah.
I'd say 500 mil, just because he's the executive producer, the creator, and they're on 24 hours a day.
And on top of it,
And
he was
10 at times 3.
and he was an executive
Maybe
producer
4.
before he had the Law and Order empire. He did other shows.
What's your guess?
I'll say 400 million just to make it interesting. You want to look it up? Let's see.
Dick Wolf, net worth. Obviously, these things, accuracy is with a grain of salt. All right. A couple conflicting reports here. If you go by CelebrityNetWorth.com,
yeah,
you got 550 million. If you go by
they're known
Cheat
for being going over.
it's looking like around 500 million. He's a rich man, is what
if you look at Google, their estimate is 250 million.
That's what. Yeah, I saw another one that said that. Which still, you're probably not going to have to get a second job with that.
And this is the first time in my life I've ever Googled Dick Wolf, and I purposely was trying not to see what he looked like for some reason.
Really?
And now I see what he looks like, and it makes a lot of sense.
I saw a
Him
girl,
and also Jerry Bruckheimer I never looked up, with Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. They used to have the film.
Yeah, there's some entertainment moguls who are just worth gajillions. And it's also like back in the day when, the TV syndication money was just like astronomical. It's like that doesn't happen anymore. That was the last of the Seinfelds, the Larry Davids, like the Ray Romanos, maybe, But man, if you were a creator and he'd be, holy shit, the thunder and lightning is crazy over here.
And he's scared of the lightning.
I'm not. That would just startled me.
You know what's funny is I'm hearing it a beat after you are over here.
Right. But, well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to. I'll give any Dick Wolf joint a try.
A Dick Wolf joint.
He's my main man.
You love him. You really do. You absolutely love him.
I love the Wolf.
I think we should tell people that we do have stuff brewing. We got. We're going to talk about rebranding. We have some stuff brewing.
Yeah, we have some concrete. The paperwork is out there.
Yes, the paperwork is out there. And
things need to be signed. T's and I's need to be crossed and dotted. And then in about 2 weeks, I think we'll have an announcement. I know we've been running the best teaser campaign for about a year now, but it looks like it's finally going to happen. Barring any sort of insane thing, we are going to have major news in about coming around September.
We do we do that thing where you tease something until people lose interest. That's what we're trying to do.
Right.
We're just trying to tease the fuck out of something until you get to the point where you're like, I just don't care. Like almost like, let's do this. Let's tease it so much that people get mad at us and stop listening to the podcast.
This is for real this time. It is actually going to happen this time.
Cool. Well, Andy, let's hear about your radio show that you have and your social media. I believe you're on social media.
I am on social media. I'm starting to really hate it more and more these days.
Yeah.
I took Facebook off my phone, and Twitter's coming next. I put my phone down and I pick it right up again. It's really a disease.
Yeah,
and
it is.
It's not helping me and or anybody for that matter. So Twitter might be the next to leave the phone. But if you want, I will still occasionally write a joke or a funny on there. It's at Andy Fiore. And I will post show dates and stuff that on my website, andyfiore.com. Hopefully more are coming. It seems to be picking up a little bit. They'll all be safe and outdoorsy. So keep checking the socials. And, yes, you can always listen to me on SiriusXM every Thursday at 4 p.m. My show is called The Raw Report. This week we have David Arquette, who a fun guest who had kind of a really crazy kind of career in Hollywood. So speaking of late 90s, mid-90s kind of actors. So tune into that. It was a fun talk.
And I, excuse me, I have a show on Sirius called Celebrate. I do it with my pal Kevin McCaffrey. It's super fun where we celebrate one topic each week. And I was so excited because you know how we are with Seinfeld. When we're taping this week's episode, we had Spike Feresten, who is a producer and writer from Seinfeld.
Not right now.
And it's on right now as we're recording, but it will be on the app after it's there. So if you have the Sirius app, check it out. And we have social media for the show, guys. We have Instagram. It's at the DYM podcast, and the same thing on Twitter. So make sure to follow us on there and to contact us, because we'll get right back to you. Maybe not Andy, because he's going the opposite route in show business with not wanting to get with getting off social media. But we're on Instagram. So tweet at us.
But I'm
Instagram
still
us
enough where I will get back to people. I'm still in show business enough to have the attention seeking.
I love the attention, this guy. So yeah, it's at the DYM podcast. Also, guys, this is so important. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. If you are
4 seconds.
It'll take you 4 seconds to do. If you are listening to this podcast, if it's brought you joy, we know we have dimwits out there that want to help it out. Just flood the reviews. It only is going to help us. Flood the reviews, flood the subscriptions, tell people about the show. And I told you, it's only getting more and more from here. It's getting bigger. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Andy, thank you so much, my friend.
No problem. I love you. I love the dimwits. I love the defenders. And until next week, we will talk to you guys later.
Dimwit Nation.
Bye-bye.